God afton. Ikväll blev det klart i Madrid. Redan på söndag inleds de verkliga förhandlingarna om fred i Mellanöstern. Det blir förhandlingar med arabland för arabland och palestinierna på den ena sidan och den andra sidan Israel. Och själva navet i den här förhandlingsrundan, det blir förstås Israels premiärminister Yitzhak Shamir. En envis, oförsonlig maktpolitiker bakom tomtegestalten. Med en bakgrund som terroristledare och spionchef. Magasinet kan ikväll visa ett porträtt av Shamir som den holländska televisionen har gjort.
He fully trusts only one person. This is Shamir.
Shamir is totally disinterested what you think about him. He doesn't care a damn.
וכל דבר הולך על היסוד. הוא יסודי מאוד.
That's a man who doesn't know what the meaning of the word fear means.
Well, you know, I am not an expert for Shamir.
För att lära känna honom måste man söka sig bakåt i tiden, till åren då den unge polsk-judiske flyktingen Yitzhak Jezernitski blev medlem i Sterngruppen, också kallad Lechi. Dess grundare, Abraham Stern, ledde det våldsamma motståndet mot britterna och araberna i dåtidens Palestina. Stern mördades 1942 av britterna och Shamir tog över efter honom. Gruppens förra högkvarter är numera ett museum.
Here, in this room, time has stopped. On February the 12th, 1942, at 11:05 a.m., the clock stopped ticking. This room was the last stop for Yair Avraham Stern. The path he chose was not easy. His difficulties were many. It was, as he wrote in one of his poems, the days were full of blood and the nights were black with despair.
Angel Spielman minns hur den unge Jezernitski tog över planeringen av terrorattackerna mot britterna.
קראנו לו מיכאל. הכינוי שלו גם הזקן. הוא היה צעיר, אבל הזקן. זקן זה גדול. והיינו פעם מפקדים, וארגנו, ועשינו, זה לא ילדים, זה מפקדים.
יש לך תמונות שלו?
תמונות רבות אתה לא תמצא. הרי בתקופה ההיא אסור היה לצלם. ומי היה תמונות מקודם מבית ספר או מהתנועה או מביתר, היו צריכים להשמיד אותם.
Shamir was one of the most wanted terrorists, and I believe that he was one of the most successful terrorists of the 20th century. He was a real fighter. Everyone who took part in the actions of the Stern group was personally interviewed by Yitzhak Shamir. Everyone. And therefore very few were caught, and all the actions were extremely successful.
אני חושב שיקול הדעת של יצחק, כושר שמיעה, האזנה, סבלנות, קור רוח, לא מתרגש, לא ממהר, שומע עד הסוף ושואל את כל השאלות, הגדולות והקטנות, המפורטות.
Här möts veteranerna från Lechi. Idag är en av deras forna medlemmar Israels premiärminister. Att han skulle bli det var ingalunda självklart. Inom den sionistiska rörelsen var Lechi en ytterst kontroversiell grupp. Inte bara för att den förespråkade våld. I början av 40-talet försökte gruppen också få till stånd ett avtal med Nazityskland i hopp om att driva bort britterna från Palestina. Meir Pail har varit sionist i alla år, men han har alltid varit en ideologisk motståndare till Shamir.
Stern's concept was that the British Empire is a much more harsher enemy to the Zionist project than Nazi Germany. This was a total misconception.
How do you feel that a man with this past, especially talking about this episode, today is the leader of this country?
I don't like it. I don't like it. And from the moral point of view, I even feel a little bit ashamed. As a Jew, I think that we, the Jewish citizens of the State of Israel, shouldn't have enabled those politicians or leaders who made the sin of cooperating with Nazi Germany in those days. We shouldn't have led them to join the leading political circles of the State of Israel. That's it. I think that the minimum most moderate, treatment to them should be that we should have pushed them into total and eternal oblivion.
Försöket att få till stånd ett avtal med Nazityskland var en desperat handling, för många både obegriplig och oförlåtlig, i tider då gaskamrarna i Europa var i full aktion. I Palestina går Lehi under Shamirs ledning till angrepp mot britterna, som inte ens under förintelsen ville öppna Palestinas gränser för judiska invandrare. Lehis aktioner var hänsynslösa och grymma. Först efter långa övertalningsförsök gick den här mannen med på att tala om saken. Israel Eldad, idag lärare, var en gång Lehis ideolog och Shamirs närmaste man.
How did you finance all those operations?
המון היה כסף בתרומות שתרמו יהודים, אבל אנחנו בלח"י הייתה לנו אהבה מיוחדת לברקליס בנק, אהבנו את ברקליס בנק.
How did you do it?
והיו פעולות שוד על ברקליס בנק.
How many innocent people were killed by Lehi?
By God, I cannot understand all the questions. In which war did not happen there? Tell me, the bombing of German cities. How many innocent, not only innocent people, very justice people, good people, Germans, which were killed. It is a war. I don't know how many the percentage of innocent people are, which are killed in every war.
No, but for instance, when you rob a bank to get money for actions, as you did, people got killed there, innocent people.
It was yes, there we really, I remember such a case.
So it's
I was in the prison with the people, but then it was really sorry, but it is a war.
Yitzhak Shamir, hjärnan bakom dåden, greps av britterna. Men han lyckades fly från fånglägret i Akko.
Lehi group here decided that Yitzhak Shamir would be the first one to escape, and they enabled him to choose the number 2. So he chose Eliyahu Giladi.
What kind of man was Eliyahu Giladi?
Giladi was a very flashy kind of spectacular kind of person with very extreme ideas, wild ideas.
He was even ready to murder, Zionist leaders, etc., if they won't agree to his concept. They decided that he's dangerous to the Zionist cause and to the Stern group.
Shamir convened a kind of court-martial in the dunes, the dunes of the sea, near Rishon LeZion.
They decided to eliminate him.
How?
They shot him.
Who gave the order to execute him?
The direction was given by Yitzhak Shamir, you can take it for sure.
He was a friend of Shamir. They escaped
Yeah, I was
together.
a member of Lehi, of course. And then it became dangerous. So I was told. I never investigated. I told you, I never spoke with Yitzhak Shamir. Never. Never. He told me he was in danger, no more in danger. Finished. I never asked him more.
Name, Yitzhak Yezenitsky. Peculiarities, thick eyebrows, large ears, unkempt appearance, uses disguise as a rabbi.
Lechis mest spektakulära aktion var mordet på den brittiske ministern Lord Moyne i Kairo 1944. Lord Moyne var emot judisk invandring till Palestina.
Hitler ידע להכניס 6 מיליון יהודים, הלורד הבריטי לא ידע להכניס מיליון יהודים, הלורד הבריטי שממונה על ביצוע המנדט הבריטי שניתן לעם ישראל.
100% in action by Shamir. 100%. He was a genius for this kind of thing. He was very meticulous, very cautious, even pedantic. The big actions which were planned by him to the smallest detail, he himself chose the people to execute them. He himself instructed them. He went with them to the smallest detail. The one point in his favor was, always is, even today, that everybody underrates Shamir. Everybody. No one realizes what kind of person he really is.
Some accused Lechi of being terrorist movement.
Well, in our situation, that was very disastrous. We people without a country, persecuted by almost all nations in the world. And it was absolutely necessary. It was a must to do something shocking in order to bring to the knowledge of the international community, of all the mankind, that Israel has to get its country.
1948 utropades staten Israel och Ben Gurion blev den nya ledaren. Socialdemokraterna blev tongivande. Lechi betraktades som en marginell utbrytargrupp. Yitzhak Shamir hamnade i skymundan.
יצחק שמיר היה רואה חשבון. הוא הלך להיות ברמת גן רואה חשבון באיזו חברה. ואני באותה תקופה פגשתי אותו פעם בחוף פיסקר בתל אביב. הוא אומר לי, אלדד, אני לא יכול.
Issar Harel, chef för hemliga polisen Mossad, ber Shamir bli agent i Europa. Det blir ytterligare 10 år i underjorden.
אני קראתי לו, הוא בא אליי ואני שאלתי אותו אם הוא מוכן לתרום למען ביטחון המדינה במסגרת המדינה. והוא הסכים, ואז שאלתי אותו עוד שאלה אחת נוספת אם אני אוכל לסמוך עליו. הוא אמר כן, וזה היה פעם ראשונה ואחרונה שבו אנחנו דיברנו על עניין של לויאליות או אחריות משותפת.
Shamir in Europe, in Paris, was a safer Shamir for Ben Gurion than Shamir as a troublemaker in Israel. He was the #1 Israeli spy in Europe.
Again, he was in charge of operations?
Of course, all secret operations in Europe, like getting rid of Arabs, especially Palestinians, terrorists, and securing Israeli officials all over Europe.
הוא היה מאוד דיסקרטי, הוא היה מאוד לויאלי, הוא בדיוק ביצע מה שהוטל עליו, אף פעם לא שינה משהו מהקו הזה.
Shamir is the type of person that can wait for hours and days until he shoots. He is very patient and he won't shoot until he is sure that he is going to hit his target. And he will not miss. And I think that this is his quality these days.
1983 blir Shamir premiärminister på förslag av Menachem Begin.
תמיד באו אליו והציעו לו, אף פעם לא הציע ולא נלחם על מקומו. כפי שאמרתי, הוא איננו שאפתן.
Begin groomed him as his successor. Why? Because he was the only one around who still belonged to the underground. Shamir, I believe, has never left the underground. Never left them. The underground is still there. He's the one-man underground governing the state of Israel.
We know very little about Mr. Shamir because he doesn't want us to know more.
How do you call him? Yitzhak or Mr. Shamir?
Something between him and me.
Is he a friend of you?
It's a question which is difficult to answer. I think I could call myself a friend of his, yes.
Why should he have friends? This kind of person doesn't have friends.
It takes him time until he trusts someone. And even then, he wouldn't share all the information with him.
In the field you deal with, you get the entire picture. You do not get the entire picture in other fields. He's a man who is still from his days in the underground in the Mossad. Everybody has his own place, you understand.
Shamir was born in the intelligence. He is a spy in his soul.
He doesn't trust any Jewish leader. Why should he trust any Arab leader?
He believes that it will take maybe 200 or 300 years until the Arabs will really accept the existence of Israel in the Middle East. Shamir is not a person of dramas. I mean, even a visit of Assad in Israel, like Sadat did in 77, will not work as it worked in 77.
Because of Shamir?
Because of Shamir. Because he doesn't get excited. Actually, nothing excites him.
His suspicion, his conspirative way of working, this character must have been born somewhere.
No one has any material about his early life, his childhood.
At the valley of destroyed communities, 5,000 communities that were destroyed during the Holocaust, Jewish communities. And each community is inscribed on stone for posterity. They're still building. They haven't finished the project yet. This is something in stone that will last while people are dying. Those who, the survivors, are slowly dying out, and this is the only thing that will remain from some of the communities.
It's the same. That's Yaakov
Tzvi Jedzanicki.
His wife was Frida. Gubar was her maiden name. They both were killed in
Treblinka.
Yes.
So this should be family of Yitzhak Shamir.
I can't tell you. I just don't know.
It's a bit strange that we don't find anything on Yitzhak Shamir in this archive.
I don't consider it strange. First of all, only 1 out of 4 of the survivors put it in. Secondly, if we know anything about the history of Yitzhak Shamir and his work before he went into public politics, he would have been the last person in the world to leave any personal records around for anybody to view.
Did you ever see him emotional?
We were in Bucharest in '83. He was invited to Romania, and he was invited to the synagogue, the old synagogue in Bucharest, speaking Yiddish to the old Jews that survived the Holocaust.
He was crying then. He was speaking Yiddish and crying.
He was shaking. His hands were shaking. His voice was trembling. You could see tears in his eyes.
He is haunted by the thought that he has to do whatever he can so that what happened to those 6 million Jews does not happen to the 4 millions here.
In 1919, there was a pogrom. There was a description here. The Polish organized groups of fighters. One of these groups of fighters came to Różnój. At dawn, they caught about 12 men going to morning prayer. They put them against a wall and shot them on the pretext of their being communists. This was in 1919 when Yitzhak Shamir was a little boy.
Som vuxen tog Shamir upp kampen för ett judiskt hemland. Samtidigt mördades hans familj i Treblinka. Hans far som sökte skydd i sin hemby dödades av polacker.
The readiness to fight until the end for the interests of our people in the country without giving up the principles of our independent life.
He will perhaps go and attend the peace conference and even start some kind of bilateral negotiations with the Arabs, waiting for them to make the mistake.
En kylig, misstänksam man, vän med ingen, rörd av inget, det är bilden som framkallas här. Idag i Madrid höll han ett känsloladdat tal, en vädjan om respekt för Israels existens, och ekon av 40-talets förintelse fanns med.
This century saw the Nazi regime set out to exterminate us. The Shoah, the Holocaust, the catastrophic genocide of unprecedented proportions which destroyed a third of our people became possible because no one defended us. Being homeless, we were also defenseless. But it was not the Holocaust which made the world community recognize our rightful claim to the land of Israel. In fact, the rebirth of the State of Israel so soon after the Holocaust has made the world forget that our claim is immemorial. We are the only people who have lived in the land of Israel without interruption for nearly 4,000 years. We are the only people, except for a short Crusader kingdom, who have had an independent sovereignty in this land. We are the only people for whom Jerusalem has been a capital. We are the only people whose sacred places are only in the land of Israel. We are a nation of 4 million. The Arab nations from the Atlantic to the Gulf number 170 million. We control only 28,000 square kilometers. The Arabs possess a land mass of 14 million square kilometers. The issue is not territory, but our existence.
Palestinias talesman idag krävde ett omedelbart stopp för de israeliska bosättningarna i de ockuperade områdena, bland annat. Men han förklarade sig också villig att acceptera begränsat självstyre, något av en utsträckt hand.
The settlements must stop now. Peace cannot be waged while Palestinian land is confiscated in myriad ways, and the status of the occupied territories is being decided each day by Israeli bulldozers and barbed wire. This is not simply a position. It is an irrefutable reality. Territory for peace is a travesty when territory for illegal settlement is official Israeli policy and practice. The settlements must stop now. In the Middle East, there is no superfluous people outside time and place, but rather a state sorely missed by time and place, the state of Palestine. Must be born on the land of Palestine to redeem the injustice of the destruction of its historical reality and to free the people of Palestine from the shackles of their victimization. Our homeland has never ceased to exist in our minds and hearts, but it has to exist as a state on all the territories occupied by Israel in the war of 1967, with Arab Jerusalem as its capital in the context of that city's special status and its non-exclusive character. From Madrid, let's light the candle of peace and let the olive branch blossom. Let us celebrate the rituals of justice and rejoice in the hymns of truth, for the awe of the moment is a promise to the future, which we all must redeem. Palestinians will be free and will stand tall among the community of nations in the fullness of the pride and dignity which by right belongs to all people. Today, our people under occupation are holding high the olive branch of peace. In the words of Chairman Arafat in 1974 before the UN General Assembly, let not the olive branch of peace fall from my hands. Let not the olive branch of peace fall from the hands of the Palestinian people. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Två glimtar från de officiella talen i Madrid idag. Det återstår att se om det kommer att bli något resultat av mötet. Det enda säkra just nu är att de bilaterala förhandlingarna som börjar på söndag, att de inte blir lika idylliska som vår slutvinjett. Det är ett improviserat möte i en korridor idag mellan en palestinsk representant och en israelisk parlamentsledamot. Och det är han som är till höger i bild här. Godnatt.
Baker said that we have to crawl before we walk and before we run. So let's stop crawling and start walking. Go back home. Sit there and talk to one another back home there. I want to eat hummus in your place and you eat hummus in my place.
Well, well, I will eat maybe gefilte fish in your place.
Not me, not me.
But
to me you speak in Spanish. I don't speak Yiddish. No gefilte fish for me.